Welcome to the Explainer. So, if you're a leader in Australia right now, AI is probably on your mind. It's this massive opportunity, right? But it's also a huge problem. You've got the tech, but you don't have the local rulebook. So, how do you make the right moves right now? Let's dive in and build your action plan. Yeah, this is the big question, isn't it? For every director, every public sector leader in the country. The technology is just moving at an incredible pace, and, our regulatory framework is still playing catch up. That gap, the one between the tech and the rules, it's not just a challenge, it can be genuinely dangerous. So, what's your move?
And listen, this isn't some far-off hypothetical problem. It is happening as we speak. A recent IDT survey found that 51%, think about that, more than half of Australian organizations got hit by AI-powered cyber threats just last year. And these aren't the kind of attacks we're used to. They're way faster, they're sneakier, and honestly, a lot more sophisticated.
And this is really the heart of the issue, right? While all these AI-powered threats are changing and evolving every single day, our federal government is still in the consultation phase for its safe and responsible AI approach. This leaves businesses completely caught in the middle. You've got to innovate, but you're also forced to defend against brand new threats without any clear national guidelines to follow.
Okay, so to get a handle on where Australia might be heading, and more importantly, what you can actually do right now, we need to look at the global playbook. There are basically four major ways that AI governance is taking shape around the world.
When you look around the globe, you see these four really different philosophies. On one end of the spectrum, you have the EU with its rulebook. It's a very strict, risk-based law, and it comes with some heavy penalties. Then you've got the UK, taking a regulator-led approach. They're basically trusting their existing bodies to adapt to AI, a completely different vibe. The US has more of a voluntary toolkit model, things like the NIST framework, which is all about having a good process. And then there's Singapore, with this super practical framework that's literally designed for businesses to just pick up and start using immediately. Each one has a lesson for us here in Australia.
All right, let's bring it all back home. Because while we're all waiting for a federal law, the AI story in Australia is anything but quiet. There is real movement happening at the state level and inside companies as we speak.
And this is where a really key disconnect starts to show up. See, Australian companies are saying that security and data governance are their absolute top AI risks. But the investment just doesn't match the threat. IDC found that spending on cybersecurity is just 1.4% of revenue. So while businesses seem to be underinvesting, some state governments are really pushing ahead. Victoria, for example, is already funneling millions into its own AI programs.
And here is a fantastic example of that state-level action. The South Australian government has teamed up with the Australian Institute for Machine Learning. What they're doing is connecting small and medium-sized businesses directly with top AI experts. And this isn't just about handing out cash. No, this is about building real, tangible AI skills from the ground up so that smaller companies can actually get in the game and compete.
Okay, let's get to the core of this explainer. Your action plan. For any director, any executive out there asking, what can I do right now while there's no federal law? Well, the answer is pretty clear. You act.
You absolutely do not need to wait for Canberra to legislate. The work that's already been done in places like Singapore and the US gives us these robust, practical, and globally respected frameworks. Adopting one of these models, like Singapore's or the NIST AI Risk Management Framework, gives you a clear and, more importantly, an immediate path to responsible AI governance. Singapore's framework is just a brilliant place to start, and it really boils down to these four pillars. Number one, get your internal governance right. Who's responsible for what? 2, decide exactly where humans fit in. 3, manage your data and your models responsibly from beginning to end. And 4, be transparent with everybody, your customers, your team, your regulators. It's a simple but really powerful checklist. Now, that point on human involvement, it really comes down to a crucial choice. Are you going to be human in a loop or human out of the loop? So in the loop, that's for the really high-stakes calls, like a medical diagnosis, where a person has to make the final call. The AI recommends, the human decides, period.
Out of the loop is for the high-volume, low-risk stuff where automation just makes sense, like sorting thousands of photos. Knowing when to use each one is honestly one of the most important governance decisions you're gonna make.
And let's be really clear here. This whole conversation, it's not just an IT task or a compliance checkbox. This is a strategic, board-level imperative. It's what's going to separate the leaders from the laggards in the years to come.
And if you need one single reason why this has to be on the board's agenda, here it is. 1%. An Accenture report found that only 1% of organizations in our region are fully prepared to handle AI risks. Just 1%. That is a staggering, frankly terrifying gap between all the talk about AI and the actual readiness on the ground.
But let's not just dwell on the risk. Let's flip this into an opportunity. This quote from an HLB survey absolutely nails it. See, proactive AI governance isn't just about dodging bullets. It's a competitive advantage. The most profitable companies? They're already way ahead on the AI maturity curve because they've woven it into their core business strategy. For them, it's a growth engine.
So the takeaway here is pretty simple. Don't let the regulatory uncertainty in Australia become an excuse for inaction. The path forward is clear. Look at the global best practices coming out of Singapore or the US and start building your own governance framework right now.
Make no mistake, Australian AI regulations are coming. That's a certainty. The only question is, when they do arrive, will your organization be scrambling to comply, or will you be ready to lead from the front? The time to build that answer is now.